Productivity. Sometimes we have to stay home, but there's still work to do. Planners need to forego any expectation of a work-life balance. These two are not equals. Planners who are remote workers are going to have to learn to shift back and forth, life, work, almost seamlessly. This chapter is going to cover how to do that, and how to even be more productive than in a traditional office environment.
As I'm recording this, we're forced to stay home, but there's still work to do. Forget any expectations about work-life balance. There is no balance. You move from one to the other, work, life, work. Even when we're out of these plague times in 2020, remote teams need to understand that the personal and professional will be intertwined. The good news is that some of us have worked remotely for years and have plenty of tips to help you be productive outside the traditional office building. Technical jargon pains me, and here I am talking about SWOT and SMART in the same course. But I think this is familiar for you as a professional planner, and I can tell you from firsthand experience it's helpful as a remote worker. SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely. So let's go over those one by one. Specific. Think of all the W questions. Who, what, when, where, which, why. Who exactly needs to be involved to achieve a goal? What are you trying to accomplish? When is this goal due for internal review or to the client? Where are you storing files? Which skills are we missing in our project? Why are we using Zoom for the public meeting? You know better than me how to answer these questions. The point is, be specific, especially when your team is physically separated. Sometimes I apply some of the SMART goals when setting an agenda for a conference call. It works for large projects and small meetings. All right, next, measurable. You need a way to measure progress, or what's the point in having a goal? For example, a goal to be your region's go-to authority on form-based code is not measurable. A goal to win 3 form-based code contracts is measurable. Achievable. The point here is to motivate action, not to be a discouragement. What's necessary to get the job done? Think through how you'd achieve the goal if you had all the right people, software, hardware, and so on. Relevant. Focus on what connects to your company or agency mission. This is particularly important when you're scattered across zip codes and time zones. Keep your goal relevant to your brand. Timely. Identify internal and external deadlines. Are they realistic? Maybe the marketing department just emailed you an RFP that has a turnaround time of 10 days. You might have a hard pass. Communication. Make a point to talk with your teammates. This is true wherever you are in the hierarchy of work. Intern, staff planner, division manager. Schedule check-ins. This is timeless relationship advice that applies to work productivity. If you're the type of person who gets preoccupied with work and forgets to ask your partner how their day was or how they're feeling, make a recurring calendar appointment for yourself. Train yourself to be attentive. Teamwork requires communication. Sounds obvious, but I'm sure you can think of someone in your organization who's aloof. I find remote teams tend to be polarized. They're either excellent at regular communication or they're terrible. Interruptions are hard to overcome. Having office hours is an easy way to ensure regular communication. Office hours are times when team members are accessible. It's known, it's on the calendar. It's not the same as meetings. It's basically on-call windows. Be deliberate and considerate of others when you think through office hours. If you're a manager, it's your responsibility to establish and maintain boundaries. Routines. I am not a natural morning person, but I get up at the same time, early, almost every day of the year. My body knows the routine so well that I usually wake up before the alarm. Homeschooling parents use routines to give a feeling of boundaries around subjects and activities. Freelancers do the same thing as a way of breaking up the work week. You might not be a freelancer, but it's the same principle. You don't want to get caught up in a feeling that you're always on the clock and always playing catch up. Not every day has to look the same. Mix it up. Maybe you only schedule meetings for Tuesdays. Maybe your typical workday starts with a 3-hour block from 7 to 10 a.m., and then you take a break from work until 2 p.m. Routine helps you focus. It helps you stay on budget and on schedule. Cloud-based computing has been around for several years, yet so many of us planners work in offices that rely on local area networks that we can access files from around the office or share files with other offices. Microsoft and Google have made it so easy to run a business with remote staff. In fact, cloud computing is so intuitive that working from your desktop or hard drive feels like a throwback. Let's take a virtual walk through Microsoft Office 360. You'll see familiar apps in here like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. That's by design. The major change is increased flexibility and shareability. Much has been written about the purpose of business meetings and the ways in which most of us make meetings ineffectual and counterproductive. Remote working can either make stereotypical business meetings worse or transform them into jewels of productivity and goal achievement. In other words, we can try to tweak something that's already terrible, or we can remake them. Start with why. Why are you having this meeting? Does it need to be weekly, daily, monthly? If you're a department head or a team leader, it's your responsibility for answering these questions. Now, what if you're a member of the planning team, but you don't control the meeting agendas? What can you do? Before the meeting, write down some questions that you can ask that show awareness of the agenda and thoughtfulness for the chain of command. Physical workspace is something I always need to improve on. It's boring, and sometimes it even feels like something that I should just know how to do on my own without any help from an employer or a friend. The medical community has a lot to say about physical workspace. Poor sitting posture at a desk, being hunched over a keyboard, straining your eyes on a monitor, shoulder stiffness. When you're in the middle of a project, you probably aren't thinking about these things. And if you're like me, you're no stranger to a makeshift desk or sitting on the couch with a laptop. Designing a workspace has a direct connection to your physical and mental health. When your body feels good, your mind feels good. If you're a team leader, pay special attention to this. These aren't work-from-home perks. These are ways for you to invest in your talent, to keep a healthy, happy team.